guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm actually gonna start my decluttering and organizing series that I mentioned I was gonna start in January. The area that I wanna start with the most is my kitchen, and I really wanna start in the pantry today because this week I got inspired when I was able to pick up some storage bins at Target, and like they had a bunch of the storage and organization in the dollar spot this week. So I'm just gonna show you where we're getting started and how I'm gonna make the most of a really small pantry. So if you need a little help organizing your small pantry too, just stay tuned for this video. Okay guys, so this is my pantry. It's just a tall, slim pantry cabinet. Like you can see, it's not very deep, but today we're gonna work on decluttering and organizing this a little bit better. And so you can see the upper part, I already do have some organization. Like I bought all these plastic containers at like Home Goods, Walmart, TJ Maxx, like some years back, and I did label them. So this looks pretty organized, but down here, this area is just kind of a big mess. Like I have so many things just thrown in on this shelf, and then like there's not really any sort of organization here. It's just everything's just kind of stuffed in wherever I can fit it, and I even have some spices down there. So the goal here is I'm gonna actually probably take out these upper bins, these containers, and probably put them towards the bottom. I'm just gonna reorganize it. Let me show you guys what I picked up. Okay, so these are the bins that I picked up to organize my pantry. These are about, I wanna say they're like 10 inches by, I don't know what the other dimension is, but these are about 10 inches long. And they have, oops, let me show you. They have these little dividers for them. So I got, what did I get? 6? I got 9 of these. And these all came from Target. These were in the dollar spot. They were actually really hard to come by. I went to a lot of different Targets and only 2 Targets had them. So that was all I could get of those. I also got these longer bins from the Target dollar spot. I picked up 2 of those. Not sure exactly what I'm gonna do with them. My thoughts were that if for some reason I don't use any certain, like some of these bins or some of these bins in my pantry, I can always use them in another area of the house. So I don't even feel the need to like return any of this. I'll just use it somewhere else as I'm organizing. And then because I wanted more of these, I felt like I wanted like another, I don't know, like 4 or 5 more of these. So what I did was I picked up these other ones from Target also, but they were not in the dollar spot. So these were like the Bright Room brand. And these, you can see the dimensions. These are the 10 1/4 by 6 inch, so by 4 inch. So they're roughly about the same size, you can see, as the square ones I got. So I picked up 9 of those. The other nice thing with these bins, and I feel like anything I don't use in the pantry I can use somewhere else, is the fact that they all have lids. So I thought that was really great. Even if I want to put them like under the guest bathroom cabinet, like they'll work anywhere. So that's perfect. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and start by, we're gonna start just clearing out everything in here. And then I'm gonna go into starting to wipe it all down and then just see like how I wanna rearrange the shelves, because I do also have an extra one of these shelves that I just had sitting by the fridge. So I can always add another shelf in here. I had just taken it out because of the configuration I have right now. So we'll see what I do, and I may end up taking out some of this and putting it in a different cabinet as I reorganize the kitchen, just because this is like mostly I would say this is mostly baking stuff, except for there is some pasta, like you can see spaghetti and some other random pastas mixed in. So a lot of this, other than like the pasta and the oatmeal and the rice, most of it I don't really use that often because I don't do a ton of baking. So I feel like I would almost rather use this cabinet more just for actual like pantry foods that I bring home. So I have easier access to that and then put the baking supplies somewhere else. But we'll see what we can do with this. And I'm going to go ahead and get started. So my plan here with tackling the pantry is to just empty everything out of the pantry first. I was kind of trying to organize things into areas like crackers, pastas, things like that, and sort them. And then I just kind of gave up because there wasn't a ton of counter space and I had no idea how much stuff I actually had in here. It literally filled my entire counters. You guys will see that. So once I get this cleared out, then the next step is really to give everything a really good wipe down. It just gets so dirty in there. And I don't think that I really went through this last year. So I feel like my pantry really hasn't been cleaned out in a couple of years. That's kind of how it got so messy. Another thing that I'll mention that was really frustrating to me, and I'm not going to show it on camera, was that I actually had items that belonged in the pantry kind of spread all throughout the kitchen. Like I had this like lazy Susan cabinet and I had like food over in that cabinet. Like there were granolas, there was coffee, there were different things over there. And then there's like another one, the cabinet in my coffee bar, and I had like brownie mixes in there and chips and things like that. So I had things just all spread throughout, and I kind of didn't ever know what I actually had because I might have it in a different area other than this pantry cabinet. So I was actually buying more, like multiple things. Like another thing is like backup spices. Like I had them in like 3 different places. So one helpful thing is if there's a way that you can keep like all your food in just your pantry, obviously that's your best bet. Um Unfortunately, this is like a really small pantry space. I wish it was deeper. I wish I kind of had one of those walk-in pantries, but I'm sure a lot of you guys probably have a small pantry like this too, and so you got to kind of make do the best you can. One of my big tips for when you're trying to organize a small space or really any space is obviously you want to clean it out first. But then when you have options to adjust the shelves to the heights you need, what I like to do is, well, one is overbuy bins, which is what you saw me do, because obviously you can return them if you don't use them, but you may use them in another spot in your house. Also, try to use, if you already have some kind of storage bins and maybe they're not being utilized well in another area of your house, you can repurpose those and move those to your kitchen to help organize your pantry. Don't feel the need to go out and buy like all new storage containers or bins. Obviously, repurpose them. I felt like these were really a good fit and you can see in them. I really like the clear bins for the kitchen because I want to be able to see what items I actually have in those. And then the other tip that I'll give is just kind of like lay it out and figure out, okay, these are the storage containers that will fit in my, in this case, the pantry. And then figure out what depth you need or what height you need the shelves to be in order to fit those bins. But then also leave enough space. Like I tested it out off camera just to see if like boxes would be able to fit in there, since everything's not going to be the same height as the bin. And I did later have to go back a couple times. Like specifically, there's a point where a bottle of syrup wasn't fitting on the shelf, but that was okay because I was able to just adjust it down so that it was a taller shelf. So just I like that's what you're seeing me do right here is just seeing, okay, what can I fit on each shelf? Okay, I can fit 2 of these containers if I have this shelf height. So I like to kind of prearrange it with the storage containers and then go back in and figure out how to configure those containers, like what I'm actually going to put in it. I feel like that's an easier way to do it. And also, when you go out to buy storage containers, make sure that you know the dimensions of the space you're using. Because one of the things, I actually didn't do this in this project. I was at Target shopping for other things, and I saw the storage containers, and I was like, this is perfect. I'm about to tackle my laundry room, my pantry. And so I grabbed the bins thinking, okay, yeah, I think these storage containers are the right size, the right depth. I knew that they were not 15 inches deep, that cabinet, but I did not actually ever measure the depth of the cabinet. So it's funny that those storage containers that I came back with actually fit. And then the day that I came home with them, I started pulling things out just to see, okay, will these actually fit in the cabinet? How well will they fit? And that's when I realized, okay, let me go back and get some more. So at that point, when I bought all the other storage containers, I knew that they were going to fit. So just to save yourself that hassle, and like if you find good storage containers, it's so much easier if you have the dimensions figured out of like what depth and height you're dealing with. More specifically, depth, since you can adjust your shelves. And then another thing, what I used to do when I would organize like the kitchen or pantry areas is I would try to be so specific and just be like, oh, only this particular item can go in this container or whatever. Like maybe it's like it could only be this kind of pasta, or like only, I can't think of another example, but basically I was trying to make it too specific, and it takes up too many bins when you try to do that. So try to be a little bit more flexible with your containers. Where I had one container, what was it? Oh, it had oatmeal. So I had the separators, and I put oatmeal in the front of the container. And then I had the separator in there. And then I have these gels for running. They're basically to give you energy when you're doing longer runs. And I didn't have a good place for those. But to me, like, I like to eat the oatmeal before I do a longer run or use those gels. So I just kind of put those both in the same container, but I just separated them with a separator. Here again, like I'm separating packages of brownie mix from pancake mix. So things like that, it really works out if it doesn't all have to be the same in the container. Like here you see like gummy candies and um, some microwave popcorn. So try to be flexible with your containers, because if you have a really small space like this, you don't want to have like a lot of half empty bins. Yeah, here's the one I was talking about where I have oatmeal in the front and then I put the gels for running in the back. And the other thing I will mention is in the past, I used to label like absolutely every single container. And I don't feel the need with these clear plastic containers to label them, because one, you can see into it and tell what's in there. And the other thing is, like, let's say that container I just showed you, that has basically like melting chocolate. If I use that up and it's not something I'm going to buy again, like I don't need it to say melting chocolate. Like maybe I'll put like granola, like backup granola in it, or crackers or something else. So I like to only label things if it's absolutely necessary. That way, if that container that I just put in there doesn't have sauces in the future, I can put something else, like repurpose it without having to remove a sticker or anything. And I just think it just makes it more flexible. And I do really like using the plastic storage containers, because I will say in the past, I would buy like the woven containers, and I could not see what was in them if like the contents weren't sticking out. And it's just much more helpful, I feel like, especially in the kitchen, because you're going to close it up. Nobody's going to see in there. But yeah, so I just want to show you kind of an overview of how this actually turned out. I'm really happy with it. I think it looks nice and neat and clean, and I think it's something that I can maintain. That's the most important part, is that you can maintain this space. And that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel, and I will be putting out more content shortly. See you guys next time.